Congressman, welcome back to the program, and a very happy Thursday morning to you. Congratulations on the Senate announcement. Why don't we start with that? What's the state of the race?
I think we're looking pretty good, brother. You know me. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten in this race if I didn't see a clear path for us to be the next senator from the great state of Texas. And I tell you what, I think that the people here in Texas, specifically the primary voters, they're looking for someone like me who is a young patriot, who is an America First fighter. Keep in mind that President Trump won the great state of Texas by 15 points, which means that this is absolutely MAGA country. And as the first person in the country to endorse President Trump on November the 15th, 2022, I was one of his day ones, especially on this last run. I was a surrogate for the president, traveled all over the country with the president. I was one of his top surrogates all over the country. I caucused for him in Iowa. I think that's the kind of America First fighter that people want to see here in Texas. And quite frankly, before I got in the race, I was already polling in the low 20s against a 24-year incumbent, been around for 24 years. You know, when John Cornyn first got elected to office, brother, I was actually playing Little League soccer, Pop Warner football, drinking Capri Suns, drinking Ecto Cooler and orange slices when he first got into this seat. And I think it's time for the next generation of leadership like us, brother, to step into the fray and to lead for the future for the America First agenda. Our Secretary of State is in his early 50s. Our Secretary of War is in his mid 40s. Our Vice President is 41 years old. And you know what this resembles? It resembles our founding fathers that were in their 20s and 30s that fought for the very soul of this nation. And we are in the exact same place this year at this time. And it's time for us to step up and get into the fight. And that's why I announced my candidacy for the United States Senate.
I just love that answer. It's exactly the right answer, because when you stick around in politics too long, and listen, I do have a couple things against John Cornyn. I don't like his stance on the Second Amendment. I don't like, he's attacked us on he through the Biden era, he would constantly be attacking us, his team on social media, which is an insane thing to do. He was obviously trying to be anti-Trump during that era, thinking that they could maybe reconstitute the Bush era. That's never coming back. The McCain, Romney, Bush loser era is never coming back. America First is here, and it's here to stay. And with that means an entire new generation of Republican Party that isn't going to be pushed around or cowed by the left into, permanent minority status in politics, because we are the majority in this country. It's great to see people actually straight up say it. And I'll tell you one anecdotal story.
Yeah.
Okay. So beside all the beside weirdly coming after us on social media, which is just such a small petty thing to do. Yeah. There's not that, I mean, it's tough to be a conservative influencer out there without having the Republican senator from Texas coming after you during the Biden era. I watched this guy at the RNC. So it's I got to sit back at the RNC and sort of see how various members of Congress and people move. You're the senior senator from Texas at the Republican National Convention. Yeah. You should be loud and proud, man. You should be rolling. You should be strutting. You should be rolling in. You should be, mighty from this state and from the proud Republic of Texas. Yeah. Dude, nobody even recognized him. Mm-hmm. He was just shuffling around. Nobody even knew him. There was no energy. It was it was an affront to everything that I believe Texas is, right? And so that's just my story. So I'd love to see him out. And Congressman,
I want to add to that too. Let's talk about the RNC. Yeah. There are two people from Texas that actually spoke at the RNC. That was myself, and it was the great Senator Ted Cruz. Senator Cornyn didn't even get a speaking slot at the RNC, and he is the senator from Texas. That's really all you need to know. The party has left him. He is a Bush-era Republican, and it is clear that the primary voter wants to see something different. Brother, imagine spending $25 million over the course of the past few months and still being in second place. Imagine being a 24-year incumbent, polling in the low 30s and bragging about it when you should be in the 60s, 70s, or 80s. I can tell you right now that in a Republican primary, Ted Cruz is probably polling in the 80s and 90s, and nobody's going to be able to touch him. In fact, Ted Cruz won't even get a primary voter, a primary at all, because a primary challenger at all, because you know what? He votes with Texas. He stands with Texas. And when I got into this race, something that was very interesting, brother, and that is, Ken Paxton's team did not attack me at all. The people that attacked me were John Cornyn's team.
Yeah.
I found that to be very, very interesting. They said that Wesley is a legend in his own mind, which I think is absolutely hilarious, because these are people that have never served this country a day in their lives. They were never shot at by a Russian-made 50 caliber Dishka. They did not fly 55 combat air missions in Baghdad. They did not go to West Point. And they are attacking me, and I'm somebody that's going to die for this country. And I found it to be very interesting. And it really lit a fire under my behind, because at the end of the day, I realized this is exactly what I need to be doing. I am literally firing for effect. I am right over the target zone if I'm pissing off the right people. And that's exactly the kind of fighter that Texans want to see.
I can show you why they're attacking you. Here's the data right here. So this is the Senate run. You are polling the strongest of anyone against the Democrat that they want to put into this Senate seat.
Yeah.
And Texas is always a scary close. Doesn't matter who's running. It's always a little too close for comfort for me. And you're looking great in these polls. And I think Republicans are going to see that.
Well, the reason why it's so important too, Benny, is because this is an off-cycle election, and the President Trump is not going to be on top of the ticket, and turnout is going to be very, very low. And that's why we have to be concerned. Look, if this were a presidential year with Trump on top of the ticket, I really wouldn't be too concerned about it. But that is absolutely not the case. And we have got to keep this seat red. And at the end of the day, I am already outperforming my two competitors. And bro, this was taken and this was done. This poll was done before I even got in the race. What we need is an America First fighter that can win the primary, that the primary voter appreciates, respects, and love because of my conservative bona fides, and also somebody that can easily win the general election without the party spending hundreds of millions of dollars. See, this is what you call a no-brainer. And I think when given the option, the Republican primary voter is going to look at me and look at someone like me and look at the future and think about the future and say, you know what, this is the right kind of guy that could lead us into the future, for the next few terms. And that's why I love the fact that, brother, we're on the high end of the millennial scale. This is why it's so important for us to give our best years, our strongest years. The years that I could be out in private industry making a lot of money, I'm coming back to continue to serve my country. And my job is to do this: arrive, raise hell, and leave. Just like Stone Cold Steve Austin used to do back during the Attitude Era in WWE, and then allow somebody else to step into the fray and follow me, because this is not about being a career politician. This is not turning this into a retirement home waiting for the early bird special. This is about me serving this country in the vein of my founding fathers and arriving, doing exactly what's right for the American people and for Texas, and then leaving it for the next generation to step into the fray, because I do not want to do this for the rest of my life. How about we term limit John Cornyn, since these people refuse to sign a term limit pledge?
I would love to see that, because I hate to see it, if it's anyone, whether it's Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer. 50, I've been in Congress 50 years. I mean, it's crazy. We spent the morning talking about Nancy Pelosi snapping on that reporter, losing her mind over, it's just spiraling into senility because she's been there for so long, and it's just so corrupting. And by the way, none of these people have young children. And there's something deeply motivating when you have little kids and you go home to them and you want to preserve this country for them rather than being in a nursing home. It's a totally different motivation. You're exactly right, and we need more of it. You rightly listed Secretary of War, the Vice President, as people who are strongly in that camp of wanting to just save America for our children.
That's correct. And you and I get to go home and see this every single day. A lot of these guys haven't seen their children be small for 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
And so now they've completely lost touch, because quite frankly, they're going to make laws that they aren't going to see come to fruition.
Exactly.
And then therefore they don't care about being a part of the uniparty war-mongering rhino class. They don't really care, because quite frankly, their children are grown and they're just trying to sit back and get rich. You and I have to look at our little babies every single day. And by the way, you have a very beautiful family, and I know you had a tough week last week, but what I know the first thing you were thinking about is, how do I protect my family? And that instinct is exactly what I want to bring to the United States Senate. How do I protect my children's future? Again, we have a $37 trillion deficit. We are running a $2 trillion annual deficit. We are spending more money than we spend on defense to service the debt Think about that, to service the debt on our deficit. That's unbelievably terrible, not for us, but for our kiddos. And every time we leave them and kiss them goodbye, I know that my heart's in the right place to preserve a more perfect constitutional republic for them.
So let's talk about preserving that republic. Very interesting thing happened yesterday at the Supreme Court. It was a bad day for Section 2 of the Voter Rights Act that effectively gerrymanders based on race and makes up Democrat districts in the South based on extremely antiquated, 50, 60, and 70-year-old or 100-year-old laws of days gone by. And this thing was just decimated in the Supreme Court. There was really not a great argument for it. And the left is, of course, ready to lose their mind. They're also ready to lose potentially a swing of 24 different seats if they're able to get rid of Section 2 of the Voter Rights Act, which I would argue they absolutely should, because it's government mandated. It's government mandated racism, no matter what way you look at it. Yeah. Ketanji Brown Jackson,
my favorite,
one of the smartest people. She doesn't know what a woman is, but she does know that Black Americans are disabled.
No. Harvard graduate, 2 Harvard degrees. Can't tell you the difference between a man and a woman. Unbelievable.
What does that mean? This is her in her own words. Ketanji Brown Jackson refers to Black Americans as disabled during a Supreme Court hearing, arguing that Black Americans without these special lines drawn wouldn't be able to vote. Your take on this, Congressman?
See, this is the example of the liberal mind virus. This is an example of the soft bigotry of low expectations. And I recognize what happened in this country 150 years ago. I think you've heard me say this before. My great-great-grandfather was born on a plantation. His great-great-grandson, me, is a United States congressman in a white majority district that President Trump would have won by 20 points, and I won by 27 points. I think we are way beyond slavery. I think we are way beyond Jim Crow. And while this country has a checkered past, by the way, like every single civilized nation has a checkered past in the form of slavery and indentured servitude, at the end of the day, we have come a very long way, and I'm a prime example of that. Look, I am like the Democrats' worst nightmare. I want to be here because I don't want to be judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. And that's why I get to be a congressman in a white majority district. And quite frankly, as a Republican, nobody really cares what I look like. They care about how I'm going to vote. They care about securing the border. They care about our economy. Here in Texas, they care about the oil and gas industry, and how you look has absolutely nothing to do with it. And what I cannot stand about liberals is they think that Black and brown people are too stupid to get an ID to vote. They think that Black and brown people are simply going to vote Democrat because that's how we've done for the past few decades. And they don't realize that they are hemorrhaging Black men, because 1 in 3 Black men in this last election voted for President Trump. What they have to understand is we want to be respected just like everybody else. I don't want to be handicapped. I don't want your gratis. What I want you to do is look at me and say, does this guy have grit, hard work, determination? And if so, you can be somebody in this great nation. And what I don't understand is this: if Black people are handicapped so bad, and if Black people can't be successful, and if white supremacy still exists, let me ask you a question. How did I get here? Why do I exist? And while the Democrats sit there and call me, oh, Wesley, you don't get it. Oh, Wesley, you're an Uncle Tom. You're this, you're that. Here's what I push back with. The people here in the great state of Texas recognize this. I'm a West Point graduate, flew 55 combat air missions in Baghdad, learned how to fly the most sophisticated helicopter that's ever existed, the A-64 Delta Apache, earned 3 master's degrees in 4 years from an Ivy League school, and I love my country. That's all they care about. And Democrats hate hearing that, because that's called merit. It's the exact opposite of DEI. I don't ever want to be given anything because of the way I look. And I hate seeing a Black woman who's a Supreme Court justice sit there and spew these kinds of liberal lies. And as somebody that has 2 Harvard degrees, she should literally just say, look, I'm probably a pretty smart person. I have 2 Harvard degrees. And yet she reverts back to being a victim. As a Supreme Court justice, she is still a victim. Last I checked, there are a lot of white people that are not Supreme Court justices. I say, let's get over it. Let's get in this boat together. Let's start rowing in the right direction. And let's talk about what it means to be an American.
Such a great answer. I gotta tell you, Congressman, if I were to say that on this program, how quickly we'd be canceled, right? Like, if that were my contention, I can't believe this was argued from the Supreme Court. I also can't believe that Ketanji Brown Jackson's saying, I don't know what a woman is. I mean, I guess I can. She said, I'm not a biologist.
She said, I'm not a biologist.
Yeah, but like, if I were to be like all black Americans are disabled. Like, what? Like, it's like, what? Taking all the good parking spots. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about exactly? For it's like, it's so patently offensive to everyone. It'd be offensive to say about any group of people. But like, what era are we? What are we doing here exactly? I would just love what is Clarence Thomas's response? Like, I really wish I was at the Supreme Court to see Clarence Thomas's reaction to this.
And that's really interesting too. Clarence Thomas has been around since the early '90s. I mean, Clarence Thomas has been black for way longer than I have, and that guy is a Supreme Court justice and did it back before he was even popular. I mean, this guy has been around for a very long time, and he actually grew up in the same segregated South that my parents grew up in. And I think we always talk about Morgan Freeman's quote as well. He's like, do you want Black History Month? He goes, I don't want it. I just want History Month. Now, keep in mind that Morgan Freeman was old back when Driving Miss Daisy was done. So do you know how old he is today? Because Driving Miss Daisy was a very long time ago, and he was old then. That guy grew up in a segregated Mississippi, and he has had the honor of playing God in movies. He has played the president in movies. He's done various voiceovers, and he's been black for a very long time because he understands that this is the only country in the world to where your race doesn't matter anymore. Are you good or are you not? And the thing about Democrats is this: they want to continue to keep the black vote under their thumb by thinking that black people are a victim and that white people are the people that are suppressing us to keeping everybody down. And you know what, Benny? You should be able to say whatever you want. And so if you want to say what I just said on your show, I will gladly sit next to you as your black friend, and I will gladly say he gets to say whatever he wants and not whatever he wants. Not only that, I completely agree with him. We had a man who was just murdered and assassinated for saying exactly that.
Yeah.
For sitting there and telling the truth, telling his truth, trying to have a conversation, sitting under a tent that said, prove me wrong. And by the way, if you listen to what he was saying, the dude was not wrong, and he is dead because of it. And now it is up to you and I to continue to fight against that, not as a white guy or as a black guy, but as brothers, but as Americans, as people that believe in this country, as equals, as God created us. This is the whole point of this construct, and continuing to move it forward. And you know what? I really hope Democrats continue to behave this way, and I really hope that they continue to not be able to identify the difference between a man and a woman, because that's the sanity check that we all want. If you can't tell me the difference between a man and a woman, then guess what? I don't want to hear about your policy. I don't want to hear about your ideas on Medicare. I don't want to hear about your ideas on the border, because you can't answer a very simple question. What's the difference between a man and a woman? Keep it up.
That's exactly right. Two really quick things there, Congressman. One, Morgan Freeman has played all of those incredible roles. You missed the CEO of Wayne Enterprises.
Oh, that's right.
Very important.
That's right.
Very important. Lucifer. We would never have had The Dark Knight.
That's right.
Without Morgan Freeman. Come on, man. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Very important role. And that wouldn't happen in a racist America. You got to understand. It wouldn't happen in a racist Gotham.
No, he played the black president when there was a comet that was coming to the earth that was going to destroy everything. I mean, imagine that kind of pressure, you know?
It's true. Man, Bruce Almighty is a great movie too. It is a fantastic movie.
It's a good movie.
Okay. Since you brought up Charlie, I just want to end with this, because I was talking with Ro Khanna yesterday about it, and it was like, it's hard. It was hard for me to like break through on this note. There are Democrats in Congress that just refuse, to do the moral thing and vote to disavow violence, like say that what happened to Charlie was wrong. AOC and Ilhan Omar are among them. Now that they've seen a little bit of traction, they've then gone out to the media and have been just savaging Charlie and his legacy and his memory. It stings. We were just at the White House for that Medal of Freedom ceremony. Obviously, like, we're close to Erica, we're close to the family, we're close to the entire universe, and we were close to Charlie. I want I don't want that in my politics. Like, I want there to be some extra, I want there to be humanity, like, in room for that. But you can't unite with evil, and you can't make peace with people that want to kill you. Yeah. And so what's to be done here, Congressman? Because unlike most members of Congress, you've actually faced down people that want to kill you. How would you approach this current moment?
Well, we have to keep praying. This is spiritual warfare that we are engaging in. You are correct. It is pure evil. To watch someone get assassinated in that vein is something that we can't ever forget. And I'm gonna give you an example, brother, to give you a little bit of hope. You see, my wife and my 3 kids, they went out to a farm. It's called Dewberry Farms. It's not far from Houston, Texas, and they went up there to kind of go to a pumpkin patch and to kind of hang out with their grandparents who came down from Iowa. And my wife came back and reported that all she saw around Dewberry Farms, right outside a suburb here of Houston, Texas, are freedom shirts and MAGA hats, and people that are standing up and standing up for Charlie, and young people that are stepping up, and thousands and thousands and thousands of college-age students that want to continue the path and the hope of Turning Point, and people realizing that freedom isn't free, and people are going to die for it. But if we don't make sure that their deaths are in vain, then what are we living for? And the hope that we are seeing is actually coming straight to fruition. Charlie's name is bigger than it ever could have been. More people have heard of his name now than ever could have heard it. And the Lord works in mysterious ways. And the reason why that I'm actually running for Congress and running for Senate, and why I stay in the fight, is because I've lost a lot of West Point classmates, and I've lost a lot of friends in war. And I get up every single day and realize that we are here because we're standing on the shoulders of giants, the people that shed blood for our freedom. We get to wake up every single day and put our feet on free, sovereign American soil and breathe free, sovereign American air, because our fellow Americans actually died for it. People like Charlie actually died for our freedoms to be able to speak freely and have our own religion and practice our own Christianity and love our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. People like him died for it. My West Point classmates died for it. And we will not ever allow their sacrifice to be in vain. And that's all we can do, is look to the future, trust Jesus, and realize that he is in control, and he will always turn what was meant for evil into good.
Beautiful words. And totally correct.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want more correct and hot takes, you got to follow Wesley Hunt right here. He's got nearly 500,000 subscribers on X. He's running for Senate in the great state of Texas. Here is Wesley Hunt's website right here. An America First fighter. Join the fight. He's a friend of our program, and very proud of him. Godspeed, Congressman.
God bless you, brother. Thank you very much.